So, just checking in. So this week, we've got the test. Next week, we'll have 2 lessons, linear functions and the linear and nonlinear functions and graphs, which means that the week of, like we said, the week of Thanksgiving is a linear and nonlinear test, and we said to either take it like one of them 2 days before Thanksgiving, or you could take it the Monday or Tuesday after you get back, because you'll have plenty of time, so you don't have to do it over your break. And then after Thanksgiving, we're pretty much only going to meet 1 week after that, and then we'll be done. So, all right, good deal. Just want to make sure we got that on the video, because now of course, this isn't for the fast track folks. The fast track classes, they're on their own drum beat there. I think the fast track folks are finishing up percents and starting finance, the second fast track. All right, so let's skim through the notes real quick, and then what we'll do is that we'll skim through the notes, then we'll go over some stuff for the statistics lab. We can look at some answers for that, but when we get to probability, we're not going to look at any answers for that, because that one is still open, but we can look at how to set some stuff up. So we talked about mean, median, and mode, box plots with the 5-number summary, and scatter plots. From what I've gathered already before this class, it seems like the 5-number summary and the box plots was what gave most people a fit. I don't know why my marker's not working. Well, something just beeped on my computer. Come on. Nothing ever works when I need it to work. Yeah, see, it says it's open, but it's definitely not open. Come on. This is making for a great video. Something I should have already had working. Okay. There it goes. Lord. Evidently the computer hadn't finished opening up yet. It was still like running some background. I don't know, these computers are, they're terrible. Okay. Like we said the first time, pretty much everybody knows what mean is. It's the average. Some of the values divided by how many there are. Outliers really mess with it. They'll, we talked about your grades and how zeros unfortunately affect your grade more than 100s do, because they're further away from the majority of the numbers. Median, middle value of an odd set. So if it's an odd set of numbers, you'll have a number kind of sitting right in the middle, and when you do your quartiles, that number is not included. But if it's an even set, then you have 2 numbers that make a hypothetical median. Those numbers are included in the quartiles. We had a couple of questions about that. I think I went over that in one of the older videos I posted in the other room. Mode, most occurring value in the set. We talked about, things that are popular, top sellers. Those are modes. Like right now, the mode of the box office is Predator Badlands. That movie ruled. It was so good. Loved every second of it. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Outliers. So yeah, outliers really mess with the mean, because like we said, they can either pull it one way or another. But median and mode aren't really affected by it. The only way mode is affected by the outlier is if the outlier is in the mode. And we said that was why a lot of places would rather use the median instead of the mean, because it kind of gives you a better idea of what the middle of your set is. And we looked at that graph from fantasy football stuff on that other video too. But like say if you work in sales and you're trying to figure out what your median monthly revenue is, so that you can, see if you can hire a new person if you've got money for it. The median would not include your really, really good months and really, really bad months. It would just kind of give you like a baseline, right? Ugh, sounds like I'm getting sick. Yay. It's only a matter of time. Everybody else in my house has been sick. So yeah, we kind of use this as an example for mean, median, and mode. Remember that if there is no mode, you just put no mode. The only way you could have more than one is if more than one number repeated the exact same amount of times. 5-number summary was the lower extreme, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, and upper extreme. And we said that the order that you find them in is different than this. The order you found them in was lower extreme, upper extreme, median, lower quartile, upper quartile, all right? And then you had to put them in this order to graph them, which, I mean, if you graph them on a number line, they're going to go in that order anyway, but it just helps to know which one is which. Quartiles are the medians of the lower and upper halves of your data, and you can't find them until you find the median. You have to split it in half with the median first. So the box plot was the graphic used to represent that 5-number summary. The purpose of the 5-number summary was to take, kind of like what you saw in the stats lab, take really, really big number sets and chop it down to just 5 measurements. So it's a little bit easier to understand what that number set is doing. All right. Scatter plots, remember we said positive does not necessarily mean something good, negative doesn't necessarily mean something bad. Positive just means that both variables are going in the same direction, right? Negative meant X is going one way, Y is going a different way. And no relationship meant that you couldn't tell one way or another, or it was horizontal or vertical, meaning that one of the variables is not having any effect or any kind of relationship with the other one. So we had examples of a positive one, started out lower and got higher. Example of a negative one, started high, got lower. No relationship. Like we said, it's either, spread all over the place, or it's got a pattern that does not indicate that they're affecting each other. Okay, so we'll hold off on probability for now. Okay. I'm just waiting for it to jump because I know, there it went. Okay, so on the student copy for the stats lab, first 3 questions were super easy. They were intended to be. 1 was clearly what?
Positive.
Yep. 2 was clearly
Negative.
And 3, of course, was?
No correlation.
Yeah, there you go. We went over these a couple of times, so hopefully we won't have to go back over those again. And then with 7, 8, and 9, 1 was a mean, 1 was a median, and 1 was a mode. 9, did anybody have trouble with number 9? Anybody miss number 9? What was number 9? Do you remember what it was? What?
I think it was 7.
Well, if you know anything about blood types, it should be O, right? That's why it's called the universal donor, right? But yeah, it was O. Why was it not this one? Why was it not C? Wanted the mode, right? Not the 2 numbers that repeated the most. It only wanted them both if they repeated the exact same amount of time. I think 1 was like 13 and 1 was 12, something like that. Okay. Which that was also why 13 was up there, I found out, instead of B, because it was kind of cluing you in that whichever one it was, that's how many times it repeated. All right, so like I said, problems didn't really start for most people until we had to start getting the 5-number summaries. I had a lot of students who that week they missed the first class. So when we were kind of going over this, they didn't know what the 5-number summary was. They just openly told me, what's the 5-number summary? And I wanted to say, thank you for not watching my videos. Tell me in a more creative way that you've not been doing your part. It's sour grapes, but yeah, so did anybody have any trouble with number 10? What about 11? Or 12? So, like most classes, I'm guessing the problems didn't start until you got to these. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So which one do we need to look at out of this bunch? So there's 13, there's 14, 15.
I didn't get 16.
Didn't get 16. All right, everybody want to look at 16? Okie doke. All right. So let me copy this over onto the whiteboard. I'm just better that way. Ooh, all right. All right. So we've got 310, 320, 450. I don't know if I'm going to have enough room. I doubt it. We'll see. 460, 470. Ooh, that's ugly. 500, 520, 540, 580. Yeah, I think I'm going to run out of room. 600, 650, 700, 710, 840, 870, 900, looks like 87Q, 900, 1,000, 1,200, looks like 7,200, let me fix that. Yep, running out of room. 1,200, 1,250. 1,300, 1,400, 1,720, 2,500, and 3,700. Okay. And it tells us up at the top how many numbers there are. There's 24, so that'll help us out some. Okay, so remember we said that there is a finding order for the 5-number summary and a graphing order. All right, so let's find them first. We know the finding order is lower extreme, upper extreme, median, excuse me, lower quartile, and upper quartile. Okay, and the reason we do those two first, because it's just your first and last number, right? They're the easiest ones to get. Okay, the median, so it said that there were 24 numbers, and the first time we did these, we said what? Count 12 from each end until you get to the 2 in the middle. Well, that's good if you have a smaller set. Anything over 20, you're kind of getting into, or like I say, if it, you can't put it all in a straight line, it's kind of harder that way. Now, could you do it? Sure, you could. Or you could shortcut it and just find your 12th and 13th number. You can do it that way too. I didn't want to show you the easy way to start off. I mean, why would I do that? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. I'm sure somebody watching that video the first time is like, why did you do it that way? It's so much harder. It's like, well, because I didn't want to show you the easy way to start with. Now that person's going to watch that and get all pissed because I made fun of them or whatever. I don't care.
Or you could be like me and do cross that one out, then cross the first one out. That's what I did.
And the 1, and the 2. Like 25 minutes later, finally got it. Now what was I doing this for? All right, 700 plus 710. So it should be like what, 705-ish, I think? Yeah. I'm just guessing. I think I wrote that upside down, but I don't care. All right, so 705, because that would be, yeah, that'd be 1410. Yeah. All right. Okay. So even numbered set, hypothetical median, which means that the 700 and the 710, remember, they are included when you're trying to find your lower and upper quartile. So if it's a 24 number set, there's 12 in each half. So you could count 6 from each end, or yeah, let's just do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So between 500 and 520, we've got 510. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so 1,200 and 1,250 should be looking at what, 1,225? 2,450, yeah. Okay, so that's the order we found them in. The order that we graph them in is least to greatest, so it would be lower extreme, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, upper extreme. So 310, 510, 705, 1225, and 3,700. Almost done. Now that we know what the 5-number summary is, we can use that to hopefully knock out some wrong answers. All right, so I don't want to mark on the TV screen with this. That was bad. 310, 510, 705, 1225, and 3,700. So A is okay. B is not because of that right there. So B's out. That's why I didn't play basketball. I just always off a little bit. 310, 510, 705, 1225, 3,700. So C's okay. D, 310, 500, 700. That was way off because of that, and that. Those are all wrong. Okay. So like I said, the hope is that you can, oh wait, that was also wrong right there. And that. I didn't even notice it. I think my brain's frozen with all this weather we got going on. So, like I said a couple weeks ago, hopefully you can knock out at least 2 of them with your 5-number summary. So now, we've got to figure out which scatter plot is correct. All right, so make yourself a number line. Our lowest number is 310. Our highest number is 3,700. I don't think I drew this number line long enough. Yeesh. All right, so I'm going to start with 300 here. Give himself a little bit more real estate. And we'll do 3,700 here. Sometimes it ends in a nice even number that you can land on. So 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, that's going to take forever. Maybe starting at 300 is not the best idea. Maybe if we...
Does it have to start at the 310, or does it start at any number?
I mean, technically you can start anywhere, but you don't want to have a lot of room extra because it can like almost zoom out your scatter plot. Because if we go by 100s, that's not going to fit. Because 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000, 1, 2, well, shoot, let's just try it and see where it goes. All right, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Oh, so close. Dadgummit. What was this, 27? 28, 29. I gotta...
You can put some in the middle where you...
Yeah, because I gotta go to 3,700, right? This is gonna be nasty. Oh, Lord. Okay. What was I at? That's 27, 28, 29, 3,000. Okay. And 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Ah, screw it. It wasn't going to be great anyway. All right. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000, 15, 2,000, 25, 30, 35, 37. All right, so I had one extra. Ah, well, who cares? Whew, looks like a boned fish. All right, so 310 is going to go like pretty much right on top of 300 because of the way we got it scaled. And then 510 is going to be right there. I mean, then that kind of tells you where it's going to wind up. But 705, so 500, 600, 700, and 5. 1225, so 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,225 right there. 3,700, that's quite the leap. Okay, so then, okay, so now you know which one it is. Sometimes you can kind of look at it and think of it like this. Is 510 close enough to 310? Like, is it closer to 310 or 3,700? Right, so it should be scooted that way because of how far apart 1225 and 3,700 are. But, you know, not everybody can think about it that way. So, you know, just go through the evidently painstaking labor of making the box plot for this one. That was worse than I thought. 3,700 would definitely be considered an outlier from this bunch, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this one was C. All right. Do we need to look at another one or kind of got figured out the process of it now? Okay. Yep. Okay, I guess now's a bad time to make sure that it fit on the camera. But it did, so all right, good. All right. Any other questions about the statistics lab that we need to iron out? Okay, good deal. So let's back this up then. All right, with probability, we only looked at a handful of aspects of it. So you've got theoretical, relative frequency. We talked about subjective. You're not going to have any questions about that. And then we also talked about events not occurring, and we didn't mess with odds. So theoretical, again, you look at all the outcomes of the way that something could happen. You didn't actually do anything. So like if you say, you know, what's the chance I'm going to draw a 10 out of a deck of cards? You figure out how many cards are in the deck, how many 10s there are, whittle it down. But you didn't actually draw anything. Or if it's dice, you didn't actually throw them. You didn't actually flip them. So in other words, it's what should happen. Compared to relative frequency probability, where you're either looking at somebody else's information, or say if you're in biology or chemistry or something like that, you're looking at your own results, right? So theoretical, if you're doing a lab for a science class, theoretical would be your hypothesis, and then relative frequency is your data collection. And with statistics, relative frequency is often used to make predictions. You know, we saw the basketball examples of, you know, free throw shooter is hitting, you know, 45 out of 50 shots. What's the chance they'll make the next shot? So you just convert that to a percent, and there you go. So this one is based off of actual observations, not just, you know, what could happen. That one's what did happen. Subjective, again, is based off of your own personal experiences. So, I mean, I could have given you questions like the one we saw out of the books, like tell what kind of probability this is, and da-da-da-da. Nah, it's too easy. I don't want to do that. Fairness test. Remember, the purpose of the fairness test is just to make sure that whatever you're doing, nothing is affecting its outcome or its results. This morning out at Andrews, somebody had dropped 2 pennies. I'm not even making this up. They had dropped 2 pennies, and one of them was heads and one of them was tails. And someone in the back of the room yelled, "That's 50%. I was like, yes, we are learning. And the reason why we know that it should have been 50% is because we mapped out the theoretical probability. And I mean, I didn't go back and flip them again. Probably could have. But if I had, then it should have been close to 50% chance that that happened again, because that one was the most likely out of the 4 outcomes. So yeah. Okie doke. And then events not occurring, we said if you think about probability on a scale of 0 to 1, where 0 is something impossible, 1 is absolutely certain, then if you're trying to find the probability something won't happen, subtract from the probability that it should. So 1 minus the probability that it will get you the probability that it won't. Because in the eyes of probability, it either will or it won't, plain and simple. So like with this one, you know, some people when they read that question, probability of not getting a 2 on a die, kind of messes with your brain a little bit. But if you trick your brain into thinking, well, before I worry about the chance of not getting a 2, let me figure out the chance that I will get a 2, then just subtract that from 1, and then there you go. All right? So hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so if we go to the probability lab, now with this one I'm not going to give any answers away because this one is technically still open. But we can talk about how to set it up if you want to. Or, you know, this one wasn't intended to be overly difficult. So, you know, if everybody's good with this one, then good. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Anybody have any trouble on 1 through 4? All right, there's 5, 6, and 7. Anybody have any trouble with any of those?
Number 6, how do you click A instead of B? Oh, wait. I didn't mean to. While I was doing it, I
We never do we? I had someone one time send me a message that said, can I get a redo on this lab? I accidentally clicked the wrong answer. And for some reason, just the way I read that, I was like, did you intentionally mean to click a different wrong answer? Like, why would you phrase it that way? But at least they were honest. You know, they didn't make up some excuse like, I don't know, my car got ran off the road by a unicorn. Can I have another crack at this? No. Anyway, so yeah. Well, now you know what you did wrong, I guess. Okay. What about 7? Anybody have any trouble with 7? That one gets a lot of people. And I can't tell why, because it's not closed yet. But we can go back over it later. Then 9 and 10, like I said, they're 8, 9, and 10, I guess, they're not designed to be that difficult. Because like I said, I don't like probability, and I don't want to spend any more time on it than I have to. All right. So, any questions?
I haven't done this yet. If you have a large number, can you reduce it, or should
Yeah,
you reduce it?
please reduce
Okay.
it. Yeah, like the example about the 10s out of the deck of cards. So, if any time that you're dealing with a deck of cards and you're only looking for one kind, like it's a 10 or a 7 or anything like that, it's going to come out to be an even number out of 52. Definitely reduce that.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.